99.9% of trauma survivors get triggered when you say these things. People are so good at telling other people how to live their life when they haven't even figured out their own life. When I was a child from 6 years old, I can still remember it like today, the trauma that I went through as a child. From sexual to physical to emotional. I didn't know where my triggers were coming from as an adult because I react to different things and different things becomes my trigger. I needed to connect to why I behave the way I do. Everything around me triggers me to that simple root cause. One of the reasons why the people who abused me, when I had to abuse me so deeply, was because I was scared to speak my truth. I was thinking that is my secret to keep. As a child, you were warned not to tell your story. You were warned not to ever tell no one what happened to you, because if you do, you're going to die. And I believed that, innocently believed that. I was keeping this secret for them. And because I was keeping it as a secret, not because I wanted to keep for them, but because I felt that was what I should do. I never knew that the secret I was keeping for them was actually empowering them to continue what they were doing to me. Now I have grown, started reading books. In fact, books saved me. Understanding the trauma cycle, why these things happen to me, and why I am reacting to what I am reacting to. Now I'm bold enough to tell my story and own up to everything about it. But I have a message to everyone who listens, because there are things you are not meant to say to a trauma survivor. A trauma survivor telling their story, they are not calling you to give them advice. They don't need you to tell them things. So I'm going to list down some of those things you should be careful not to say to a trauma survivor, because you are destroying them more. You may think that you are trying to say the right thing to them, but you don't know that you are not saying nothing right. Even though you think that you're saying the right thing, I don't think she's getting it the way you are getting it. And they might not even tell you that what you're saying is destroying them the more. So it is better to be silent when a trauma survivor is sharing their pains and their story. Because you have said something that also triggered them to think that maybe they attracted their problem, or maybe they are the one that made what happened to them happen to them. You are doubling their pain. The best thing you need to do when a trauma survivor is telling you their story is to listen, to be fully present. Look them right in their eyes and listen like they are telling you a story that hurts them, and let that story hurt you too. Be compassionate in listening to them. Listen, that's all they want. Eye contact, and listen to every word that they need to say, because it is their body and their nervous system they are talking about. They are not trying to tell you the pain they are enduring as if it is paining them currently. They are sharing to you the memories of what they went through and how these memories are playing out in their current life. This is huge. All you need to do, because you don't have answers to that, is to listen. It is their story, not your story. You are not even a therapist. She's telling you a story as a friend, as a relative. She didn't come to you to tell you a story to seek advice. But what most people do is to start advising. So avoid the ego need to offer advice, and pay attention, and just be a learner, a listener. Try to learn from their story. Try to listen. So this popular thing that most people say to trauma survivors is, it's okay, everyone is traumatized. What do you mean? Everyone is traumatized. Not everyone recognizes that they are traumatized. Some people don't even know that what they are accepting and what they are enduring is caused by their trauma. They don't even know what happened to them. But this person knows her story or his story. They are telling you their own story. So now you want to generalize their personal pain and let them know that since everyone is going through it, how come you are so personal? That's the way they are going to get it. And for them, you are not doing anything. You are doing them disservice. Another one they are so good at saying is, let it go. Let it go. Do you think it's easy to let it go? And they never do let it go. I think it's ego for people to keep saying these things. Let it go, let it go. Let it go is not an easy process. People go through process to heal. And letting go becomes the last stage of their healing process. So why do you think that your verbal utterance of telling them let it go would actually do anything to them? If you are used to saying those things, please, can you stop it now? Then another one is telling them, everything happens for a reason. How do you expect a trauma survivor to understand that her abuse happened for a reason? Which reason? Which reason? Most of these trauma survivors are people who got traumatized at a very tender age of their lives, where they cannot even help themselves, protect themselves. Now you're telling them that everything happens for a reason. Please, can you tell me the reason why it happened? Let me understand, because they cannot understand. I just can't understand the reason why I got abused from 6, 7, 8, 9, and I keep getting this abuse. Who could explain to me why the adults in my life could not protect me? All they do is to abuse me. And now I'm telling my story that I couldn't brave up to tell before. Now I braved up to tell the story, and then someone is telling me that everything happens for a reason. Please, how? How? I want to know. I really want to know how, because it's going to help this process. It's like people it's like people force themselves to say something. You mustn't say anything. Silence also is communication. We don't even understand that listening is an act of communication. When you listen to people from the depth of their heart, they connect to that listening, and they feel that they have poured out who they are, and someone has heard them. Another thing people are used to telling trauma survivors is forgive and forget. You are being emotional dismissal. How do you mean? You don't force forgiveness and forgetfulness. It doesn't happen because you say them. It happens because people want to walk towards that. So when they are telling you their story, it's not going to be a spontaneous talk. This is a story. Some of these things are backdated like 20 years back, 30 years, 40. It's a long time process. And you think that they've not heard from religious organizations, from friends, that forgive and forget is okay. You think it's intentional they are not forgiving and forgetting? Please stop using these words. They are not friendly to trauma survivors. Now, when a trauma survivor tells a story about a family member that abused them, which is part of my own story, you hear people say things like, oh, but I know they love you. Even though they do that to you, they still love you. Hello, can you stop? Can you please stop? They love me. So love hurts. That does not look like love to them. There is no way you can convince her that hurt and pain and abuse is love. So when people love people, what do? They protect them. So when they do not protect them, they abuse them. You're now trying to convince them that they still love them. How? You see, it's not your job to put out those words, because these words are shallow platitude, causing double responsibilities to what they are already going through. Please stop. Thank you. I remember when someone on social media was telling the story of how she got abused, and I went to the comment section. I read where someone said, but stop taking it personally now. Learn to let these things be. It is her personal problem. She has to take it personal. It is in taking it personal that she can find how to personally solve her problem. So who are you to dictate for her how to deal with her emotional issues? People are so good at telling other people how to live their life when they haven't even figured out their own life. So when a trauma survivor is telling their story, it is their personal story. And it has caused so much damages in them for them to tell the story. So you stop telling them to take it personal. It is personal. It is personal. Another one they say is that, but they are your family. They are my family, but they abused me. They are my family, and they heap this whole thing on me. Allow me to go through the process of understanding how to go about these things and get away from finding better, healing, easing off, and connecting better. This one sounds to me as a judgment. And anytime I hear people tell me that, I say it outrightly. You are judging me. And that one is, you are still living in the past. They said this. The past is part of the story that makes my now. I know that. I recognize that. But you are judging me. What about that? The truth is that if you say I'm living in the past, but I'm living in my human body, I have nervous system. I react to the things that is being done to me. My nerves automatically react to things that I experience and trigger pain, anger, whatever that comes with it. My nervous system knows how to process unresolved pains. You see? I don't even know how these things happen, but it happens. But I have recognized that it's not healthy, because anything that is not empowering me, it's not bringing out the best in me. Now that I have known these things, it is now my job to find how to heal myself and take myself out from that hole that wants to swallow me. Because I need to experience life. I need to live life to the fullest. Living in the past unresolved hurt is taking life beauties away from me, so I need to work with that. I was telling a story of my abuse to an auntie, trying to remind her what happened to me. She said, oh, okay, this thing that happened long ago, you sound as if you're so unforgiving. People that these things happen with, they have all forgiven them. So why are you still not forgiving yourself? You know what I did? At that time, I stood up and I walked away. Yeah, I walked away from that conversation because I wasn't ready to listen to more judgment. I think this video is going to help you to listen to people who are going through trauma. Some of us didn't go through the deep wounds of trauma, abuse, neglect, and all of that. Some of us went through it shallowly. The level of diagnosis of our trauma experiences differ. For some people, it's quite acute, and for others, it's just shallow. The only thing a trauma survivor wants to hear is that she's heard, she's seen. All she wants you to do is, oh, I feel it. Me too. I hear you. I understand. And then a hug. That's all. You are not a therapist. She doesn't need something extra. Get into the comment section to tell me whether you have been traumatized or your experiences when you're sharing your trauma experiences, what people do tell you. Get into the comment section and tell me exactly what you feel about this video. If you haven't joined this family, what are you waiting for? We do have fun here. We do have fun here. See you on my next video. Thank you.